Race 2 in Portimao for the 2024 Euroformula Open Championship is about to get underway. It's the season opening weekend for the championship, coming from the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, a place we've been racing for a few years since. Lap record of 1:36.493 set by Louis Foster in 2021. Let's see if we can get anywhere near that, because we have pretty ideal conditions here. 15 degrees air temperature, 15 degrees track temperature. And after yesterday's race 1 victory, or really domination from pole position, Francesco Simonazzi will line up at the back of the grid for the race today. It will be Fernando Barrichello lining up on the front row of the grid. Here is the reverse grid for today. Fernando Barrichello and Jakob Bergmeister make up row 1. Then it comes Levente Revesh and Lorenzo Fluxer on row 2. And then it will be Brad Benavides and yesterday's race winner Francesco Simonazzi lining up in 6th position. This is the result taken from race number 1 that make up the grid. Tomorrow will be the reverse grid race from qualifying. Let's take a look back at what happened yesterday. Simonazzi on pole, but an awful start for Fifo Barrichello. Did not get away at all. That left him plumb last as Simonazzi led the way into the first corner, followed by Levente Revesh and Brad Benavides, with Jakob Bergmeister in hot pursuit as well. Lorenzo Fluxer trying to make up ground as well. The lock up for Levente Revesh as they got into the first couple of corners, but it wasn't long before Lorenzo Fluxer started flexing his muscles, passing Jakob Bergmeister down into the hairpin at turn 5. And then a very close call with Levente Revesh. Went up on 2 wheels going over the curbs on the outside of turns 1, but Fluxer found his way through. Simonazzi was unperturbed up at the front of the field, and the BVM racing driver took his 3rd win in the championship. And as you can see, that made him a very happy boy indeed. That puts him at the head of the championship, of course. He was joined on the podium by Brad Benavides and Lorenzo Fluxer. Lorenzo Fluxer making his debut in the championship. Of course, that means Simonazzi leads by 6 points after also securing pole position. Fastest lap went to Lorenzo Fluxer, so he scored a bonus point there in 3rd position, followed by Revesh, Bergmeister and Barrichello at the end of the field. Chris Stevens and George Morgan in the commentary box. And yeah, George, reverse grid time.
It is, and obviously off the back of Francesco Simonazzi succeeding in yesterday's race as well as taking pole, it means he's got 2 successive races today where he'll be starting from the back of the grid, but the Italian stallion, I'm sure, will be looking to come back on top. Win number 3 in the series puts him within the realms of the likes of Alex Palau, Christian Mansell, Josh Mason, who have all taken 3 victories in this championship alike. Though if he does go on to claim more, he could yet find himself levelling up with Colton Herter on 4 and Liam Lawson, who of course have featured at the highest points in single-seater racing, with of course Colton Herter featuring in IndyCar, and then you do have Liam Lawson, who has taken part in Formula 1 in recent times with the was formerly known as the AlphaTauri Formula 1 team based in Faenza. But Fernando Barrichello will be hoping for a better day today after getting certainly unstuck at the very start of the race, but has a great chance to right that wrong this time around. Back on the front row after a decent qualifying session. I know that his father's with him. There he is, the great Rubens Barrichello, of course partnering Michael Schumacher back at Ferrari in Formula 1, and back in a single-seater paddock this time with his son Fernando. Of course, Fernando has a brother called Dudu Barrichello, Eduardo, who has done well also in single-seaters in the past.
Grid is set and we are about to get underway. Green flag at the back, and we await for the lights to get the 2nd race of the weekend in Portimao for the Euroformula Open. It's lights out in Portimao. Fifo Barrichello getting a fair bit of wheel spin off the line. That allows Jakob Bergmeister to go straight through into the lead, and Levente Revesh follows him through as well. Brad Benavides up on the inside trying to take 3rd position away. Wide goes Barrichello. Thankfully avoids the curbing that launched Revesh yesterday, but Barrichello still trying to brave this one out around the outside, but does have to yield 3rd position away. Wide goes, I think that was Lorenzo Fluxer in the number 7 car at the exit of turn 4. Bergmeister defending down the inside for the lead of the race as Fluxer comes around the outside of Barrichello. They both go wide. A big swapper there for Lorenzo Fluxa as he tried to take fourth position away from Barrichello as they make their way into the more technical part of the track now in this middle sector. It is Bergmeister from Revesh, from Benavides, Fluxa, Barrichello, Simonazzi still at the back of the field.
Yeah, Simonazzi taking a very patient run through the first few corners. I think was just waiting for everything to unfold right in front of him. It was quite busy at the very start, but Jakob Bergmeister taking full advantage is now out in front here in this reverse grid race. Levente Revesh in second. Brad Benavides still hot on the heels of young Revesh in third spot, and that AIX livery as we now see Simonazzi having a look down the inside of Lorenzo Flucher for that fifth place spot. He might try and find himself a better line coming through the final few corners. They cut down through the inside on this particular lap. First lap will conclude here as they look to cross the line here in this stint. There's Simonazzi now, curtailing through Galp corner, then heading down this long straight. There is Benavides, hot on the heels of Levente Revesh. These are the current standings. We got Bergmeister, Revesh. There is Simonazzi in the background now, looking to try and land a blow on Lorenzo Flucher, going the long way round the outside through turn one. He's going to hold position. The Italian stallion trying to verge up here on Lorenzo Flucher, immediately shuts the door, goes defensive coming out of turn two into turn three. Simonazzi forced to forgo the place, but great racing between these two.
Lorenzo Flucher, the recent LMP2 race winner in the European Le Mans series, making the switch over to prototypes, but convinced to race in this series by Diego Menchaca of Team Motorpark after he tested the car at Valencia. Absolutely fell in love with the thing, and scored a podium yesterday, and getting his elbows out once again in this race number 2. Jakob Bergmeister up at the front of the field, looking an awful lot more comfortable than he was yesterday at the wheel of that car. Had to make a lot of late changes. He had to, basically it was a change of chassis for Jakob Bergmeister from Friday through to Saturday. Meant he went into qualifying in race 1 with basically no real setup work on the car. Now they've been able to make the necessary changes on the setup that he needs. He's looking a lot more comfortable up at the front of the field, ahead of Levente Revesh, who finished outside of the podium yesterday. Is a replay from the first lap. So this is Fluxa and Barrichello. Fluxa on the outside. Barrichello runs wide, and Fluxa had his own little moment there, getting on the power.
Yeah, I think just getting the rear stepped out slightly. Something we've seen Simonazzi do time after time. But this time around, I think more focused on what's going on ahead of him. Of course, Simonazzi would love to go back to back, and it would help his championship cause if he was to strike a decisive blow here this weekend by taking a positive result in race 2. There is Bergmeister, though, still leading the way. Looking pretty strong right now, comfortable out in front. I think Benavides is helping him out a little bit with the fact that he's so closely following Levente Revesh, and it's giving Bergmeister somewhat of a reprieve here at this point. As we're now watching Flucher now rise up through turn 4, as well as Barrichello, who's now holding station in 4th place with Flucher just in behind. We've got Simonazzi just watching everything in front of him, just trying to manage his race. Benavides having a little look, just sort of trying to throw some sort of a dummy with Revesh in front of him. Nothing to upset the balance of this race so far as they climb up the hill out of turns 5 and turn 6 and through towards turn 7 and turn 8 at Samsung now. Still Bergmeister out in front. I must say he's looking composed, Chris.
Certainly is. Jakob Bergmeister has not won in the Euroformula Open. He made his car racing debut last year in the F4 UAE Championship, which is a winter series, and then came straight into the Euroformula Open. But he did score podiums in Budapest, in Paul Ricard, and in Barcelona, but it's never been on the top step of the podium. And even for this year, was late to test the car as well. But did manage to get a couple of days in at Oschersleben to get himself back up to speed. 4th generation racer, of course, Jakob Bergmeister. His great-grandfather raced. His grandfather, Willie, was a touring car driver and trained Michael Schumacher as an apprentice in his VW workshop in the late 1980s. His father, Tim, as well, was a GT Masters champion, and Uncle Jorg, a Porsche Works driver. But we're going to have a change of the lead here as Levente Revesh was going up the inside into the first corner. That sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it? And it's got the inside line now for turn number 3, and Levente Revesh, the Hungarian racer, through into the lead of the race. Benavides trying to come around the outside. That's not going to work. Runs out wide onto the runoff area at turn number 4. Benavides has come out ahead anyway of Bergmeister. Now, that might be one that Race Control decides to take a look at.
Yeah, they might well do. We also saw Fernando Barrichello trying to defend against Lorenzo Flucher over that fourth spot, coming through turn one as well. But it was just a case of Benavides getting an opportunity as the Revesh was in Bergmeister's aero coming through in towards turn one. And it was a great effort from Revesh and very bold and brave coming through turn one as well to hang it around the outside. Credit to Bergmeister. He did try, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. And it also allowed an attack from Brad Benavides, which led to him taking P2 away from Bergmeister, heading down through towards Tora Vip as they now make their way up the hill. Once again, this time Barrichello eyeing up Bergmeister coming through the final sector as they now exit out of turn 13 through Sagre and then head downhill through towards the Galp corner and take yet another long straight. This time it's Revesh who leads the way. Brad Benavides in second. Barrichello looking a little bit more calm and composed here at this point now. We'll have a chance and we'll take a look at the replay again. This is a lovely camera shot.
Oh, the drone shot on the inside here. So Revesh on the inside.
Oh, wow.
And they both went wide. And Revesh for the second time this weekend launched it over the curbs. Or was that Bergmeister? I need to see another angle of it, really. But it did look like he got two wheels up in the air once again. We see Benavides going right around the outside, side by side, further back, Barrichello and Flucher. Flucher on the outside. He runs wide at turn 4 as well. They're squabbling over 4th position. Now, unlike Benavides, Flucher's... Oh, no, exactly like Benavides. Flucher's come out ahead. I thought from the previous shot he had backed out, but he's also gone through on Barrichello.
Simonazzi might also fancy a chance as well. He's been patiently waiting in P6, but no changes just yet. Revesh still leads 4/10 now, the gap between he and Benavides, though I think Brad Benavides is trying to close that gap vehemently. You can see now it's starting to open up between Bergmeister and Benavides, so this could make a difference in terms of how the link-ups are between the lead fight and the battle for P3, as we now see the top two sprinting away. There's Flucher heading up the hill now, and he'll venture out of turn 12 in towards turn 13 alike. There's Benavides. Once again, horn to the rear wing on Revesh's car, so it could be the case now that the AIX Motor Park livery could yet find its way down the long straight, getting tucked in within the aero. It'll be his best friend heading down this long straight here at the Algarve, because it does open up opportunities into turn 1, much like Revesh opened up his own opportunities when challenging Bergmeister on the previous couple of laps ago. As we now see them now make their way down the straight. Still Revesh out in front. Benavides trying to get closer. There's Simonazzi in shot. Benavides not quite close enough to manufacture the overtake, but still, look at the large gap in between P2 and P3. This is a great opportunity now for both Revesh and Benavides alike.
Yeah, 1.4 seconds clear of Jakob Bergmeister in 3rd place now. They were nearly half a second quicker than the young German last time around. And Levente Revesh also hunting for his first Euroformula race win, having taken... Oh, no, sorry, his second win, I should say. He won the second race in Barcelona at the end of last year. Only contested the last 3 meetings of the Euroformula Open Championship last year, having moved over from the Formula Regional Championship, whereas Brad Benavides, a bit more experience in Euroformula. This is where he made his car racing debut back in 2018. It's a different chassis back then, of course. So now are we going to see what's happened between Flucher and Barrichello? Because Flucher has gone through on the inside at turn 3, so he's now into 4th position. Wide went Barrichello there on the exit of the corner. So this is the start of what we saw earlier. And he's gone, round the outside. And, well, safe to say he was off the track there. And Simonazzi has also now gone through on FIFO Barrichello into 5th position.
Yeah, Barrichello now at the tail end of the field, now chasing after Simonazzi as we now watch the cars make their way down the straight. Turn 1 will be next, as we now see Bergmeister, Flucher getting closer as well. Benavides haunting the rear wing of Revesh's car, breaking out of the aero straight away to the outside comes Lorenzo Flucher, will be vastly experienced in battles and occasions like this. Will have a great chance here as now Bergmeister goes defensive, but this will open up the window of opportunity for Levente Revesh coming out of turn 4. Wheel to wheel they will stay and remain. vain, as now once again Flusha a carbon copy of what we saw previously, where he overtook Barrichello. This time he's pulled the same attack out on Jakob Bergmeister as they head in towards the hairpin of Toravip. Enters Simonazzi, very nearly gets his wing caught as well in this fray, this battle that's erupting here with 12 laps to go, but still Bergmeister defiant in his ever-longing fight in this particular lap against Lorenzo Flusha. Simonazzi once again flexing his muscles down in 5th place.
And can confirm Fluxa and Barrichello incident under investigation for overtaking outside of the track. So hopefully Lorenzo Fluxa's got the word in his ear there from Florian Talou. Not to do it again, because he may well find himself with a penalty for that move earlier on. You see these guys really dropping away from the race leaders now. They're 2.6 seconds back from Benavides in second position, as Jakob Bergmeister desperately trying to hang on to this podium position. Led the early stages, of course, started on the front row of the grid. A number of overnight changes made to that car. Lorenzo Fluxa continuing his strong form from his debut weekend in the championship, coming around the outside of the first corner. Might well be clear by the time they get to the apex. In fact, he is. Lorenzo Fluxa, the Spaniard, up into 7th position. Third position, I should say. Don't know where 7th came from.
Well, heading up through turn 4. Cracking move there from Flusha. Textbook, getting out of the aero, around the outside at turn 1. We've seen that a couple of times already this weekend. And now he'll look to try and gain after Brad Benavides. Simonazzi, so looking to try and get in on Jakob Bergmeister alike. They head out of Toravip and head up the hill now out of turn 6 in towards turn 7. Ravesh still out in front. He's actually built a modest gap of around 0.5 of a second. We'll have to manage the pace leading up towards this very end of the race. We've still got quite a few laps to go. So now Simonazzi rises over the crest and downhill as they look to head through this next left-hander. Straight away in towards the right as they tackle the blind bend is now Simonazzi. I tell you what, he does look like a threat here at this point in terms of where Bergmeister stands. Just lost out to Flusha. Doesn't want to lose out here to Simonazzi, who started from the back of the grid due to the reverse conditions that we have off the back of achieving pole position and also a race win in race 1 as they head through the Sagre corner and then down the Gulp, heading down this long straight as well. Simonazzi right in the coattails now. We'll have an opportunity heading in towards turn 1, and I'm sure, much like Flusha did on the previous lap or so, we'll look to try and break away from Bergmeister this time. Bergmeister dodging to the inside, opens the door essentially again here for Francesco Simonazzi as they run wheel to wheel as well at the front. But Brad Benavides trying to tackle Levente Ravesh as well for the lead of the race. Benavides might have him coming through towards turn 3, has to swap to the outside. The big question is, has Simonazzi managed to get rid of Bergmeister? Not yet. Hasn't managed to get him through turn 1. He had the opportunity, he had the run, but Bergmeister thwarting him at every cause.
Leaders heading their way down towards the hairpin at turn 5. Benavides still looking at the back of Ravesh's car. So Simonazzi still trying to find a way through on Bergmeister as well to the outside of the hairpin. But no way through. So it's really closing up between the leaders, isn't it? It was 2/10 quicker for Benavides last time around. That put him in a really great position to attack into the first corner. Of course, former Formula 2 racer last year, back in the Euroformula Open. The 22-year-old Floridian. Oh, that was a dive from Simonazzi, wasn't it? Into turn 11 on Jakob Bergmeister. Just caught a glimpse of it. Half expecting to see the blue and yellow car ahead, and yep, there it is. So he's made a great lunge there into turn 11, has Simonazzi on Jakob Bergmeister, picked up 4th position. Since Lorenzo Fluxa made his way through past Jakob Bergmeister, he's pulled 2.3 seconds on these guys. So Simonazzi's got a bit of work to do in these remaining, what will be 9 laps, if he wants to end up on the podium. Benavides not as close last time around, 0.4 of a second.
Heading down in towards turn 1. Ravesh now holding on to the advantage, still remains out in front. Benavides, though, has not left him whatsoever. Still giving him plenty to think about as they head out of turn 3. Through towards turn 4 once again. Down the hill. And then they'll have Toravip at the hairpin. The question is who's going to get the better exit. Obviously, Ravesh looking the stronger. He's trying to consolidate his position right now. 2 wins could be on record against the name of Levente Ravesh, should he be able to bring this home. We're now halfway through this race so far, 9 laps to go out of an 18-lap race. And still Benavides persevering as he enters this next right-hander, heading out of Samsung, down the hill again, and through towards the next left. Of course, Benavides with all his experience in F2 and F3, as well as competing in the Euroformula in seasons gone by. Flusha coming out of LMP2s as well alike. Ravesh coming out of, also in his own right, single-seater racing out of Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Arrived at the Euroformula Open last season and is now since racing in a full campaign here in this championship. Once again, a little wheel twist there from Benavides, trying to find the grip as they head down the hill through the Galp corner, and they'll begin the next lap. It'll be 8 to go.
Yeah, so 1.8 seconds the gap between Benavides and Fluxa, but it is reducing as Fluxa did the fastest middle sector there, and Benavides now making his move for the lead of the race. Laresh doesn't really do much to stop him, and Benavides through on the inside takes the lead with 8 laps remaining.
Yeah. Great, well, certainly great move heading in towards turn 1 from Benavides. Finally managed to get his man. Ravesh now down into second. Win still on the table though. Ravesh might fancy his chances this time. He can follow the wheel tracks of Benavides this time around, who immediately has a move to the inside to try and force off or warn off any potential move from Ravesh heading in towards Tora Vip as they now head uphill.
And sorry, just suddenly with that personal best as well from Lorenzo Fluxa last time around, plus that move into turn 1, Lorenzo Fluxa suddenly a second behind Levente Ravesh, and could well be challenging for second place in the remaining few laps. In fact, he's looking much closer to Ravesh than Ravesh is to Benavides, who is just checking out now up at the front of the field. 22-year-old Floridian trying to make hay while the sun is shining. Probably recognizes the speed of Lorenzo Fluxa there and wants to make a gap while he still has a car in between himself and the Spaniard. So let's see what happens down into turn 1. Ravesh running a little bit wider than Fluxa. You see Fluxa getting all over the curb, trying to at least get half his car out of the turbulent air of Levente Ravesh. Once again around this final corner, and the toe will be all the way down the straight for Lorenzo Fluxa in that white wing-tipped car. You see hoovering up that slipstream, and again to the inside. Levente Ravesh doesn't have much of an answer to stop Lorenzo Fluxa, and you see that hand signal. Don't fight me, let's go after Brad Benavides. That is a classic karting technique. Point to the guy in front and say, let's get after him, because they're 1.3 seconds down.
And Flusha is very experienced in those as well, and I'm sure he'll be looking to take the fight to Brad Benavides, and certainly Flusha is quick enough. We know his history, of course, part of the very, very fast Prima team who have succeeded with the likes of Andrea Kimi Antonelli in the past, still very much part of that in Formula 2. Of course, Antonelli now looking to take a seat in Formula 1 with the Mercedes Academy. Of course, I'm part of the Mercedes team as well, with rumours about him actually taking the seat when, of course, the new season erupts in the next campaign. Flusha, off the back of already a high-spirited start to his LMP2 campaigns, looking to try and rubber in an opportunity at a potential race win here. This time in the Euroformula Open Championship, is working on trying to close this gap between he and Brad Benavides. Levente Ravesh being tasked of trying to stay close in behind his fellow Motorpark teammate. Further back, Simonazzi now has disjointed himself off this front battle. Of course, 1.9 seconds could very soon become 2 unless he starts to really pick up some pace. So the BVM car will know exactly what to do in this situation. But Brad Benavides still leading the way, still 1.6 of the round between he and Fluxa, but we'll see how that compares when they cross the line to begin their next lap. 7 to go will become 6 to go, and they'll make their way down towards turn 1. As more and more cars cross the line. Indeed, it has gone out to 1.7 now, so the gap lengthening.
Now, well, Fluxa had to make that move at turn 1, didn't he? So he was quarter of a second slower last time around than Benavides, but now he's in fully clean air. Let's see what he can do. He was doing quicker times on the previous lap compared to Benavides. And so Lorenzo Fluxa looking good for a second podium in his second Euroformula race. Of course, Benavides and Fluchter, they were second and third in yesterday's race. They're now first and second in this one, while yesterday's race winner, Francesco Simonazzi, still tries to close the gap to Levente Revesh for the last spot on the podium. And actually, Revesh being passed has actually done Simonazzi quite a few favours. 1.2 seconds behind now, was 1.2 seconds faster last time around. Was Simonazzi. It's now under 1 second going into the final sector on this lap. Let's see if the Italian can usurp the 19-year-old Hungarian. And it's interesting, Revesh not offering much defence, because certainly last season he was a very aggressive racer, not just in his defence but in his attack as well. Did get into a couple of scrapes as a result.
3-second time penalty going out to Brad Benavides. Incredible. So
yes,
that goes for the overtaking of the track heading out of turn 4. That's just been alerted to us on our screens. So that could very much change the picture of this race now, because if it stays like this, it's Lorenzo Flucher who takes victory.
Yes, so Lorenzo Flucher will need to stay within 3 seconds here, and that was the pass on Barrichello that we noted earlier that Benavides has been penalised for. So Florian Toulouse, his race not his race engineer, sorry, it will be Bernard Gotts over the phone to Brad Benavides, saying, right, you need to pull out 1.2 seconds now and get down the road to try and counteract this penalty. And last time around, he did do a personal best, but it was only a 1/10 of a second quicker than Lorenzo Fluchter. And I'm sure Lorenzo Fluchter, in turn, is getting the message from Florian Toulouse in the garage, stay within 3 seconds of him and we'll win this race.
Yeah, that's exactly what Lorenzo Flucher had in mind. We noted the gestures towards Levente Revesh. You know, let's try and close up. Let's make this gap. Let's minute this gap. Simonazzi is someone else who's going to it. Remember, his gap was 2 seconds between he and Levente Revesh. He's now brought it to nearly within 8.5 tenths. So he has put in a mammoth stint here, Simonazzi, and could yet feature on the overall podium here in this case. So with 5 laps to go, which will soon become 4, the Italian stallion looking to launch a charge in a bid to become a podium, successful podium finisher for the second time in 2 races so far this campaign, as they make their way down the straight. And once again, he'll try and track the aero, this time of Levente Revesh. It's going to be Hungarian versus Italian through towards turn 1. Simonazzi a little bit too far back in this instance, but still closing that gap relentlessly, as Revesh still holds on to P3, at least for now.
4 laps remaining in the second race of the weekend for the Euroformula Open in Portimao. The question at the moment is, can Brad Benavides pull out a 3-second advantage over Lorenzo Fluchter? Judging by the previous lap, where they were matched to the 1/10 of a second, he cannot. And so, as it stands, Lorenzo Fluchter will be taking the victory despite being second on the road. And the other question we have is, can Francesco Simonazzi put himself onto the podium? He was 3/10 of a second quicker than Revesh last time around. He's now hot on the coattails of the Hungarian. Because Revesh was leading in the earlier stages of the race, having taken the lead away from Jakob Bergmeister, but has since relinquished it. Coming up towards turn 13 once again. And yeah, Simonazzi, for the form he was in yesterday, not quite carving through the field as quickly as I would have expected, but still doing a good job nonetheless to first of all keep his car in one piece, which not everyone is able to do in these reverse grid races, but also to put himself in a position where he could be on the podium. Gap did go out at the leader a little bit more. It's now 2 seconds, so Benavides did manage to pull 3/10 of a second last time around, but to pull a full second in the remaining 3 laps of this race, that would be some achievement for Brad Benavides. And a last warning for track limits has gone out to Levente Revesh, that car right there in 3rd position. So in his defense against Simonazzi, he now cannot afford to run too wide now on any of these corners, because he will get a penalty for it and lose the podium anyway. So 2.5 laps or just under 5 minutes remain. There is a 30-minute time limit in these races. Left to run. And still Simonazzi looking at the back of the Levente Revesh's car.
Brad Benavides needs to launch out at least 3.5 tenths a lap to close out this race in order to make it that whole second faster at least than Lorenzo Flusha. Simonazzi in a battle of his own. Revesh is going to have to put his best defensive helmet on because at this point has been issued a last warning. It's a warning given to car 84. That is Simonazzi as well for track limits at turn 5. So they're both being conflicted. Only the difference is Simonazzi is not on a final warning as they head through now turn 14. Coming out of Sagre, and then down Galt curve they will go, and this is a great chance here for the Italian, who could yet light things up down this long straight in a bid to become a 2-time podium sitter in 2 races. Great chance here for Simonazzi as he gets right in the coattails of one Levente Revesh. Both of them sharing single-seater spots here in the Euroformula last season. Of course, Revesh coming in towards the closing stages. Simonazzi now launching the bid, launching the challenge. He's up to P3. Levente Revesh trying to get back to within the aero as they come in towards turn 1. Simonazzi trying to defend that place, runs wide, coming out of turn 1 in towards turn 2. Revesh, could he challenge him back? Coming through a late move, heading through turn 3 now, wheel to wheel, as they head now out of that segment through turn 4. Great effort from Levente Revesh to hold procedure.
And Brad Benavides, Christmas has come early. 3-second time penalty for Lorenzo Fluxa, the car that he was trying to pull out a gap on. So that is now even Stevens. They are 6 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, so that shouldn't affect them in terms of the top 2. But the pressure is right off of Brad Benavides now because that 3-second time penalty against Lorenzo Fluxa has nullified that situation. So now the question is just going to be who is going to be joining them on the podium, Levente Revesh or Francesco Simonazzi. A lap and a half to go, and that, what we saw at turns 1, 2 and 3, that's more the Levente Revesh we're used to seeing from last year. Let's see if Simonazzi can do anything with it in these closing stages of this race. Heading up towards turn 13, this is where Simonazzi was setting up the move last time around, getting that wider line into the penultimate corner to try and set him up down the long straight. And you see how much more speed he had. He was able to clear him by the time well before they even got to the corner. It was actually not that much faster than them down the straight according to our speed trap. So let's see. Final lap has begun. Benavides leads Fluxa, who's going to be joining them on the podium as Simonazzi closes in on Levente Revesh, who defends into the first corner. Simonazzi to the outside, but it's a brave man who tries to make a move there, but closes right up once again. And Revesh has the line into the right-hander at turn 3. Again, Simonazzi tries the up and under, try and get the momentum out of turn 4, down this back straight and towards turn 5, but Revesh is not going to give him the inside line too easily. Here are the leaders. Brad Benavides in a much more comfortable position now. Simonazzi can't get up the inside into turn 5, both running wide out of turn 5.
Yeah, heading up the hill now. They'll burst through out of turn 6 through turn 7 and then head up the hill. Simonazzi running out of opportunity here. He'll have to try and find it coming out of sector 2 into sector 3 as they rise up the hill over the crest and then down again. There's Benavides, who has put on a truly sterling display, leading the way, and with the penalty being issued to Lorenzo Flusha, giving him that important breathing space in order to nullify and negate his own penalty that he received. He'll now get a chance to bring it home in style.
Brad Benavides has controlled this one. There was a slight scare with the track limits time penalty, but it won't affect the results for the top 2 in this race as Brad Benavides comes out of the final corner and takes his first victory in the Euroformula Open Championship in race 2 in Portimao. Victory for the Floridian and is 2.6 seconds clear of Lorenzo Fluxa in the end, who makes it 2 podiums out of 2 side by side across the line for 3rd position. And by 2 thousandths of a second, it is Francesco Simonazzi. And you saw him celebrating there, almost as if he'd won the race. Amazing stuff.
Never say die, Chris. Never say die. The Italian stallion, even when it looks hopeless, he comes back and he managed to fight. He gave it his best against Levente Revesh, who certainly did try to tag him back. I mean, that was a furious fight that we saw in the final few laps. A pleasure to watch. And fair play to both drivers. They were fully committed. But it would be Simonazzi who took third place and celebrates in style.
The result of it's slightly ruined because Ravesh has now got a 2-second time penalty for track limits. So in the results, it'll say 2.002 seconds. And yeah, that's how he retook.
We won't worry about that.
Place a couple of, no, we won't. This was the battle a couple of laps ago. Really aggressive, great stuff from Levente Ravesh. Yeah, confirmation of it on the top of the screen. And how did Simonazzi get that much momentum? Look at him all over the go. He hopped up on 2 wheels, maybe even completely in the air. How on earth?
I mean,
how on earth did he manage to outdrag Ravesh to the line? That's astonishing.
That's why he's the Italian stallion, Chris. I mean, we've seen what he does in terms of his usability. He loves to race on the edge. You know, that is prime Francesco Simonazzi right there. What a podium finish there for the Italian. Take us through the results,
Brad
Chris.
Benavides takes his first victory of the season. It is Lorenzo Fluxa on the podium for the second time once again. And Francesco Simonazzi, after victory yesterday, joins him on the podium from 6th on the grid. Levente Ravesh just missing out in 4th. Jakob Bergmeister 5th. Fernando Barrichello in 6th. That has put Brad Benavides at the top of the championship standings by 6 points to Francesco Simonazzi. Lorenzo Fluxa, 13 points back in 3rd. Levente Ravesh in 5th. Just try and check who actually got the fastest lap point in that one. I think it was Levente Ravesh with a 37.4, so he'll have picked up a bonus point there. And I think Fluxa will get the points, the positions gained point as well, because he started in 4th and finished 2nd. We'll get confirmation of that a little bit later, but Brad Benavides and Lorenzo Fluxa in Parc Ferme. And this is a big moment for Brad Benavides. Celebrations at Team Motorpark as Simonazzi joins them in Parc Ferme now. I imagine he's probably the happiest out of all 3 of those, really, after side-by-side across the line. Lorenzo Fluxa getting the mandatory checks done.
Well, I mean, Brad Benavides can breathe a sigh of relief there to a certain degree, and was given, you know, a hand clap there with Jesus Pereira.
Yeah.
And there's Lorenzo Fluxa, no doubt a little bit disappointed. It did obviously intend to try and close up to Brad Benavides. There was quite the gap to find, but then got slapped with the penalty as well, which ultimately gave Benavides that breathing space. And of course, we all saw the exploits of one Francesco Simonazzi, who I'm sure is absolutely thrilled. I think Jesus Pereira, the CEO of GT Sport Organization, was definitely thrilled with that one. What a pleasure to watch. It certainly was. Fernando Barrichello will look to race 3 for new, fresh opportunities in his own right. But no doubt a relieved Brad Benavides to a high degree, Chris.
Certainly will be. Of course, just got to get the weigh-ins done, check the weight of the drivers. Simonazzi will soon get to celebrate with the BVM Racing team and head towards the podium. Here is the top 3 from race 2. Francesco Simonazzi for BVM Racing, 6th to 3rd in that race to back up his victory in race 1 yesterday. Lorenzo Fluxa, had he not got that penalty, could have beaten Brad Benavides in the timing order, but he has to settle for 2nd place. Victory for the first time in the Euroformula Open. It is the Floridian Brad Benavides on his return to the championship. He's downstairs with Alfredo.
Brad Benavides, winner of race 2 at Estoril, a very lively race, by the way. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it was good for coming from the back, you know, yesterday with P2 finish and reverse grid today. So it's really positive to come back through the small field, but yet it is a field. And yeah, it's always nice to have a victory. Actually, fun fact, it's my first victory in a single-seater. So yeah, really over the moon with this result because it's been a long time coming.
And many more to come?
Yes, hopefully.
Well done for now. Enjoy and podium.
Well, let's take a look back at how Brad Benavides took his first victory of the season. All the way back half an hour ago, it was FIFO Barrichello on reverse grid pole, but he had a pretty poor start. That allowed Jakob Bergmeister into the lead of the race. with Levente Revesh, and then Brad Benavides challenging for third position down into turn 3, but it was Bergmeister who led in the early stages of the race, with Revesh challenging him. Benavides did manage to get around the outside in the end into third position. And then Levente Revesh made his move for the lead early on Jakob Bergmeister, trying to usurp into turn 3, and then Brad Benavides ended up picking up a 3-second time penalty for that maneuver on Jakob Bergmeister, because he went off the circuit to make it happen. In the end, that 3-second penalty didn't end up making too much of a difference, because Lorenzo Fluxer picked up one himself. First of all, though, the Spaniard had to get up into second position. He worked his way up through the field, passing Jakob Bergmeister into turn 1, and then Brad Benavides on the inside of Levente Revesh took the lead of the race. He wouldn't relinquish it until the checkered flag. Lorenzo Fluxer made his way into second place ahead of Revesh as well. And Benavides, as he said just now, his first victory in single-seater racing here in Portimao. 2.6 seconds clear of Lorenzo Fluxer in the end, and then this very dramatic battle between Levente Revesh and Francesco Simonazzi coming right down to the wire. Might need to check the nuts and bolts on that BVM racing car after quite a rough ride over the curbs and grass on the left-hand side of the straight. But no matter, because for Francesco Simonazzi, it's a third position to back up his victory from yesterday. Of course, has to go from 6th position again this afternoon, because it is the qualifying reverse grid race, and he put it on pole position yesterday. Lorenzo Fluxer on the left-hand side picks up a second place finish after his third place finish yesterday. Brad Benavides, for the first time in single-seater racing, standing on the top step of the podium. The Motorpark representative will join him on the podium as well, and it will be the American national anthem for the Floridian, the 22-year-old, for his first ever victory. Of course, FIFO Barrichello joins them as the rookie winner as well. And now we can hear the national anthem. I would not be shouting about his first singles. He's been racing singles years for 6 years. Congratulations to Brad Benavides, a big day for him. His first victory in single-seaters and in the Euroformula Open Championship as the trophies are handed out. And we go again this afternoon, George, don't we?
We certainly do. Race 3 will be coming up later on. Again, another reverse grid scenario, and a standing start for these guys to take here at Portimao. But yeah, Brad Benavides will lift the trophy aloft. Race winner here in the Portimao Race 2 here in the Euroformula Open Championship. And we are now in full swing with 2 different winners this campaign so far, with Simonazzi taking the first one in Race 1. Motorpark as well will lift their trophy aloft, and Fernando Barrichello will accept the rookie winner trophy to boot. And the Pirelli representatives on offer, supporting the series as they have done so now, a full campaign with them this season, and a group photograph as well.
Yeah, they'll pose for the group photo, for hopefully the champagne is sprayed, and then get the washing machines out, because they'll need them again this afternoon. Although for Brad Benavides, he's got to have a little bit, hasn't he? It's his first win. You got to get a little something going. Come on, pop the. Oh, taking their time about it, aren't they? Well, either way, we're going to go racing once again for the last time this weekend. It's the last outing of them. There we go, finally. Somebody does it. But yeah, join us at 5 p.m. Local time for the third and final race of the weekend for the Euroformula Open Championship.